Hi, I'm sitting here with Dr. Gray Fenton, who has saved my life numerous times by finding the causes rather than just treating the symptoms. And I reached out to him to see if he could maybe help explain some ways to build to take some measures to be stronger in the light of this catastrophe we're all in front of, because everyone says wash your hands, but what else can you do to make yourself stronger? It seems like there's more.
Well, there sure is. And, a lot of this goes back to some of the fundamentals of good health that we all know about, which is the quality of our diet, phytonutrients, maximizing nutrients. I often say that there are the two most important elements in terms of diet, and this applies in regard to this and in regard to general health, and that is maximizing nutrients, principle number one. Principle number two, minimizing toxins. And those are really the two overarching principles that circumscribe everything. But now I want to get more into some of the specifics of what we're dealing with now. And so I'd like to kind of turn the discussion to, or this informal conversation, to some of the nutritional elements that have really shown their mettle in the scientific research. Okay? So some of these I'm sure we've all heard of. Vitamin C, zinc, I know some of your favorites, some of your standbys. Vitamin C enhances cell-mediated immunity, which is the ability of each cell of the immune system to engulf an invader. DMG, dimethylglycine, is an amino acid derivative that is effective at stimulating antibody production. So I like to think in these broad terms. What enhances the cell-mediated immunity? What enhances the ability of the immune system to make antibodies?
So how do you support what's being attacked?
Yes, so
basically.
exactly. And there's this concept that can sometimes be looked at in kind of a metaphorical way. Cell-mediated immunity is kind of hand-to-hand combat. Humoral immunity, which is antibodies, is the guns, the bows and the arrows, the weapons that are used kind of to fight from a distance. And so some things, such as vitamin C, work on both. Some nutrients like IP6, inositol hexaphosphate, is something. It's a nutrient, it's a supplement that really enhances the hand-to-hand combat. And then DMG, as I said, works on antibody production. Zinc is another interesting one because zinc, as I alluded to earlier, but without getting into the details of it, zinc also works on the ability of the epithelial cells, which are the cells that line your mucous membranes and your skin, so that kind of first layer of protection. And zinc is inherently supportive of those cells. So it's not just the immune effects, but kind of the physical barrier.
So zinc is a metal, though, isn't it?
Yes.
So what is the max for zinc?
So zinc, of course, is a trace mineral, and with trace minerals, it's important to note that they can be, as with anything else, but especially because they're trace minerals, they can be harmful if taken in amounts that exceed their safe, trace element level. And so, this is actually a good point for me to say that as a physician, I have to be cautious here, and I can't, ethically or in any other way offer specific advice, medical advice here. But what I am kind of explicating here or elucidating are some of the elements that are important for physiologic and immune support. I can say that in general terms, to give a somewhat more specific, less cagey answer to your question, zinc rarely should exceed 100 milligrams a day for most people. And in fact, many people find that over 50 milligrams a day upsets the stomach. So there's kind of a natural barrier to overdoing it because of gastrointestinal upset.
Perfect.
So this might also be a good opportunity to talk a little bit more about, especially in light of what's happening out there right now and this concern about COVID and coronavirus, to talk a little bit more about that. And interestingly enough, when the reports of this coronavirus first came out, my first thought was, well, I learned about coronavirus over 25 years ago when I was in school. Coronavirus as a family is nothing new. However, this is a mutated strain, so it is a different form of coronavirus. But it is also the case that for most individuals under the age of 50, they will either be, if infected with it, asymptomatic or have very mild symptoms. Now, the mortality or the fatality rate goes up dramatically with each decade of life over the age of 60. And there's also some controversy about what it is, what happens at that age with the increasing age that makes this so much more deadly at that point.
Why are they so much more vulnerable?
Why are they more vulnerable, right? Is it the fact that they just have their system is not as strong? Is it that there are other underlying medical conditions, which we know certainly increases the risk of disability and harm from this microbe? But I wanted to take this opportunity also to mention that there are some approaches that I think are prudent. It's very difficult to point to, at this point, clear, published, peer-reviewed scientific studies on this particular virus because this strain is a novel strain because it's so new. But there is research that dates back many years now, but I don't mean it's ancient research, but I mean it's nothing just within the last couple of months, showing that certain nutrients can interfere with the ability of coronavirus as a family to enter the cells. And one of those components, drum roll please, is something that comes from green tea extract and called EGCG, which I think you're familiar with.
Yeah,
Epigallocatechin gallate. And epigallocatechin gallate, or EGCG, is one of the major catechins or chemicals or substances that is in green tea. There is a body of research that maybe I can share with you after our discussion today. In fact, I found just this morning 92 published articles in scientific journals on the antiviral effects of green tea extract. So I obviously can't sit here today and say, take green tea and you don't have to worry about coronavirus. Of course not. But the thrust of the discussion today is things that we can do that are reasonable, that are prudent, that are safe, that are intriguing based on some of the research that's out there that might help our bodies to be stronger.
green tea has a lot of benefits.
It sure does.
A lot of anti-cancer.
Anti-cancer, antioxidant benefits, something that has really a host of research behind it. And interestingly enough, the way that EGCG appears to work is that it inhibits or interferes with the ability of viruses, influenza virus, coronavirus, HIV, hepatitis virus, a huge list of viruses that this green tea compound has been shown to affect. And the mechanism of action appears to be that it inhibits or interferes with the ability of the virus to actually enter the cell. So it's not so much that it's directly antiviral, although that may be one of the pathways here, but it seems to have more to do with the ability of the virus to enter the cell. It may turn out down the road that this will be sort of this green tea extract or EGCG, it may turn out down the road to be similar to Tamiflu for influenza, but hopefully more effective, much broader spectrum, because Tamiflu is really only effective against influenza, and this appears to have much broader spectrum of activity.
And inexpensive.
Yeah.
Very inexpensive.
Right, and inexpensive.
And easy to dose.
Yes, for sure.